This is the part 2 intro to my Excel video. Just wanted you to be able to see my face before the video goes on, because my face isn't on the video, but my voice is and my commentary is. So let's jump right into it. All right. Specifics on the left-hand side column, but I'll get back to that as I go down and explain each measurement. But you can basically figure out it with the square footage amount for the floor and the depth amount of, like, let's say 6 inches or a foot of concrete. You can figure out how many cubic yards out of that if you convert that info. And doors, of course, is just a simple count, which is each, the same as windows. And then the roofing would be square footage. The only thing about roofing that you have to take into account if you were doing it on Plan Swift or Bluebeam is the amount of slope on the roof. So 1 in 12, 4 in 12, whatever the slope is, it'll tell you, and then you'd have to take that into account as you did the takeoff. But the reason, going back to the left-hand side column and the measurements, that I put in measurement amount, so 5/8 inch drywall versus 1/2 inch drywall, or whatever, 3/4 inch drywall, is because it costs different amounts. So you would change how much per square footage that amount would be for that specifically. And then the same with the wood, 2x4 versus 2x6 or whatever else. It's going to cost a different amount. The R11 bad, that's for the resistance to heat level, I'm pretty sure, is what the R value is. And that, of course, there's a lot of different R values, so they cost different amounts, and you get them from different places. Of course, the 2x2 tile versus 2x4 tile makes sense. You need to make sure that you have the specific type. 6-inch slab, it'll help with the calculation, trying to convert that into cubic yards from the square footage amount that you'll probably use, or maybe you use square yards, and probably not, probably square foot, like me. And then hollow metal, which is what HM is for the doors and the windows, that is, just specifically a hollow metal door basically versus a solid wood door, or whatever else could be possibly called out. And for the roofing, I just kind of laid out a few different types that it could be, but kind of based on everything else in the lineup. Normally it'll probably be like a shingled roof for this sort of system, or whatever sort of place that this would be. Let's just assume it's like a house or something, whatever. So amounts, kind of just threw some down there for how much kind of makes sense for each scope, kind of, trying to be somewhat reasonable. And then same with material pricing, just more stuff just kind of thrown on there to help with the example of showing how to build this thing. And yeah, comment below if you are an estimator watching me work, do all of this stuff. Yeah, being an estimator, it's not bad. I haven't seen many career fields to where you can make it to the amounts that you can salary-wise as you can in the estimating field. It is, and especially for as simple of a job as it is, you'd think that you'd need to do something kind of wild, or have some sort of, very specific degree to make what you can make in the estimating career field. It's pretty wild. I definitely see why a lot of college kids are starting to shy away from college and kind of drift over into trade work, and it just makes sense. Like, you don't want to go deeply into debt for 30 to 40, 50 maybe $1,000 a year doing whatever, and then have to try and pay that back. It does kind of make sense to do some estimating or some project management. Get to travel a little bit, especially if you're a younger dude. Man. But not everybody knows this stuff. That's why somebody has to talk about it. So, hey, here I am. All right, back to the Excel. Let's get focused, guys. Okay? So, price per, like I said, just a kind of somewhat reasonable for what scope pricing for each. But this is where I start cooking, guys. Start cooking with some grease. Oh yeah, let me also throw that in there. These prices are completely random, so don't try and use them. They did not come from Home Depot, that's for sure. Or Ferguson, for you guys that know. All right, so I'm taking too long in real time, so I'm just going to go ahead and explain what I'm going to do. So all I'm going to do is just a simple multiplication across, each line item, basically. So in the middle where it says 5 under prices, under the D column, I'll be multiplying that 5 by the C column, which is right next to it, the amount. So at 5 times 1,000 is, of course, 5,000. And, as you go down, of course, more and more kind of are going to get, of course, multiplied across. And then, simple as that. And then, of course, I'll have a grand total at the end. And that's where estimators shine. Getting some of that formula action in. And if you are thinking about being an estimator, you should probably be thinking about watching how to do formulas. Matter of fact, I guess you could just pay attention right now. See what I do. Oh, yeah, there's that. And then there's also ChatGPT. ChatGPT is great at making formulas. Ask it what you want it to do, and then it'll just poop out a formula, and you'll have it. And then you can say it's yours. And then what I'm going to do right now is just keep copying and pasting that same formula, because I didn't feel like redoing it. I showed you guys twice to just kind of show what you'd have to do, but, let's just do things the more efficient way. Ooh, man. Yeah. Like and share this video around. I want many people to get the value from it, to learn, kind of see something new, maybe get interested in the career field. Not a lot of young people in it, not a lot of women in it, not a lot of people of color in estimating. A lot of money to be made, upwards of $200,000 a year as a chief estimator. It doesn't really take that long, maybe 10 years or so of experience to gather, and probably less, honestly, but it's kind of up to you. But yeah, I want people to know and see. Come subscribe and get a dose of some reasonable information versus a bunch of gossip and nonsense. Let's get something reasonable going. Let me see. Oh, man. All right, guys, check this out. This is crazy. This is absolutely insane. You see what your boy's doing over here. Gross margin. Guys, gross margin. I'm building a formula for gross margin. Have you ever seen or witnessed such things in your life? Do you see all the work going into this formula? They call it PEMDAS. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. But yeah, no joke though. It is a whole lot of work going into this thing to kind of build this 20% margin from scratch. I think all I really needed to do is just put 20% somewhere on the page and then just take that times, the amount. And then I think it would have done all of this formula stuff for me. But either way, I built a completely over convoluted formula for Excel, and it'll work. It works great, actually, guys. If you were wanting to know, I mean, you'll see, but if you didn't want to skip ahead, so, yeah. But just time in the estimating field, having to do this so many different times on so many different Excels and so many different companies. Right now, I'm just kind of randomly color coding stuff just to match with the column. Nothing of really any, it doesn't necessarily change anything or make anything different. But it's something. Bluebeam tends to be really colorful because you always tend to go back with different colors than you did, originally whenever you began to take off or when you did your first, material, for instance, or whatever. So I don't know. It makes me kind of think in this sort of way to trying to organize things because, like I said, Bluebeam does it the exact same way. Per material, per column, all of that type of stuff. But yeah, guys, building a bid sheet from scratch. You just saw it here. Probably not first, because realistically, this is probably somewhere on YouTube. Simple enough. Yeah, I agree. All right. Thank you guys.